Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, you're very welcome. My name is Anita Handmade Creations. If you're a old member, you're very welcome back. Thank you for coming back to my channel. In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you on how to cut this mermaid skirt and top. So if you want to know how I'll be going about it, keep on watching. First thing I'm going to start on, I'll be making the top first. We'll be drafting up the top and then we'll go for the cutting of the skirt. So I have my paper right here. The first thing I'm going to do is to go ahead. I'll take my shoulder measurement divided by 2, which mine is 14, divided by 2 is going to give me 7. I will mark that up. After marking it up, I'm going to slant it down by 1 inch for the shoulder slope. Then I'll move now to my armhole depth, which is 7.5. If you don't know how to get your armhole measurement, divide around your bust by 6, then you add 1.5 inch to it. After doing so, I'm going to go ahead. I'll be connecting that up, and I'm also going to do the same thing here like this. The next thing we'll do is to go ahead now, mark the neck depth and the neck width of 3 by 3 inch. Once I'm done marking that up, I'll go ahead to connect it and connect my shoulder slope as well. I'll go ahead now. I'll measure up whatever I have from here to here and divide it by 2, which is 7.5. Divided by 2 is going to give me 3.075. I'll go in by 3/4 inch. I'll come here, I'll put 1/4 of the bust measurement, which is 34 divided by 4 is going to give me 8.5, and mark, and I'm going to connect it up like this. Once I'm done doing so, I'll go ahead to measure from the shoulder to the bust point, which is 10 inch, from the shoulder to the under bust, which is 13.5 inch, and from the shoulder to the length of this top. I will mark, and I'm going to connect it up with a straight line. I will do the same thing here, and I will do the same thing to the bust point line. Once I'm done doing so, I'll go ahead, mark the nipple to nipple. Mine is 8 inch divided by 2 is going to give me 4. I will mark it up, then I'll connect it up with a straight line. After doing so, I'm going to come here and measure up whatever I have here and divide it by 2. Then I'll mark up the center as well. Then I'll go ahead and connect this point up like this. After connecting that up, next thing we're going to do is to create up our dart, which I'm going to be going with the 1/2 inch at the downer part and then 3/4 inch at the bust point line. 1/2 inch here and 1/2 inch here, and then I'll come on the bust point line. I'm going to go in by 3/4 inch, 3/4 inch, which is 0.75. From the bust point line, I'm going to go down by 1 inch. Then I'll connect that up like this. I'll do the same thing here, and I'll also do the same thing to the downer part as well. After doing so, the next thing we want to do is to go ahead now. I'll come here. I'm going to go up by 1.5 inch. You can go up by 1.5 inch or by 2 inch depending on you, okay? After doing so, I'm going to come here. I'll come down by 3/4 inch. Then I'll connect these points up like this. This is my new chest line. Then I'll come here. I'm going to go out by 3/4 inch. I'll also do the same thing to the other side as well, 3/4 inch. Then I'm going to connect that up like this. You can make it sweetheart at this point, okay? At the center front, you can make a sweetheart, but I want mine to be straight. Then I'll connect this point up like that. After connecting that up, next thing I will do now is to come here. I'll put 1/4 of the bust measurement. Where my bust is 34 divided by 4 is going to give me 8.5. I'll go ahead and mark it up. Then I'll connect this point up like this. You see what I've done there? After connecting that point, the next thing I'm going to do is to put 1/4 of my waist measurement, which is 28 divided by 4 is going to give me 7. I will mark that up. I'm replacing back the dart allowance. Come to my underbust. Run my underbust is 30 divided by 4 is going to give me 7.5. I'll replace back the dart allowance. Then I'll add up my sewing allowance. I'll come to the bust. I'll put 1/4 of the bust measurement, which is 34 divided by 4 is going to give me 8.5. I'll measure up whatever I have there. Then I'm going to replace it. Then I'll add up my sewing allowance. Okay, I'll go ahead. I'm going to connect this point up like that, like you can see me doing. Then I'll reconnect it to the waistline. After doing so, the next thing I want to do is to go ahead and blend this part up. After blending that up, I'll go ahead now. I'll just connect this line and we are going to just draft up the back directly. For the back is very simple. Just go ahead and connect these lines up with a straight line here and the underbust line and the waistline. After connecting that up, we're going to go ahead and separate it up from the front. Then you put 1/4 of your bust measurement. Round bust, which is 34 divided by 4 is going to give me 8.5. I'll put 1/4 of the under bust, put 1/4 of the waist. Then I'll be adding 1 inch for the darts. Okay. After doing so, I'm going to go ahead. I'll connect that point up. Connect it up from here to here, and I'm going to connect this point up like that. And now we have not added up the zipper allowance. To add the zipper allowance, you're going to go ahead and extend it up by 1 inch. But before we do so, you put the nipple to nipple divided by 2, which is 8 divided by 2. It's going to give me 4. I'm going to mark that up. I will connect it up with a straight line. I'm going to come here and go out by half inch both sides. I'm going to connect it all the way to the top. Then I'm going to do the same thing here. Once we're done doing so, we'll come now to the back. We're going to be adding up the zipper allowance of 1 inch, 1 inch, and 1 inch. After doing so, I'll go ahead and connect it up with a straight line. Not really straight, but go ahead and connect those points up. Then now mark the center of whatever you have. Okay, like we normally do. I will mark up the center, then I'm going to go in by half an inch. I'll connect that part up from here to here and from here to here. Once we're done doing so, we're going to go ahead and level them up 1, 2, 3, and 4, and we'll be cutting it up. Once I'm done cutting that up, I'm going to move that aside and we'll be cutting the skirt. So for the skirt, what you're going to do is to fold your fabric right side facing right sides. We are cutting it directly on the fabric. Fold your fabric right side facing right sides, and then you're going to go ahead and we will draw a straight line, which is going to be the starting point. But before you go ahead to do so, make sure you pin them up so it will not move when you're working on. I want to place my fabric in such a way that you people will be able to see everything up. Okay, then when you fold up your fabric, you make sure that you should have 1/4 of the hip, then plus some 10 extra inch. I'll go ahead and connect it up with a straight line here, which is going to be the start point. I'm going to measure now from the waist to the hip depth, which is 8 inch, is normally between 8 and 10 inch depending on how tall you are. And remember this, we don't have any band, so I'm marking it directly. Measure from the waist to the knee line, which is 20 inch. I will minus 1 inch to it. You can go ahead and minus up to 2 inch so that you'll be able to walk freely. And then measure now from the waist to the length of those skirts. After doing so, just go ahead and connect it up with straight lines. Okay, and I'm also going to connect the hemline. After marking the hemline, remember that we created the pattern for the top first, so you have to minus whatever you have, then you're going to create your skirt for the rest of the inches that are remaining. Here I'm just putting 1/4 of the waist, which is 28 divided by 4 is going to give me 7. I will mark that up. I'm going to be adding 2 inch because we'll be needing 1 inch for the turning, okay, and 1 inch for the sewing allowance. I'll come on my hip. I will put 1/4 of my hip, which is 37 divided by 4 is going to give me 9.025. I will mark that up. I'm going to add 2 inch like I did on the waistline. Then you come on the knee line, measure up whatever you have on your hip line. You're going to minus 1.5 inch from there. After minusing that, you go ahead and mark that up, and also after marking, you connect it up like you can see me doing, and make sure that it is not kind of sharp. You want it to be smooth here, so go ahead and blend any sharp edges around there. So I've just pulled up the fabric so you can see what I'm doing at the downer part. So what I'm going to do is just to measure up whatever I have on the hip line. Okay, what I have here is 11.025. I'm going to transfer it up here to the hemline. Then you can go ahead now and extend 6, 5, 7, 8 inch depending on how open you want the downer part to be. So I'll be working with at least 7 inch. I'm going to go ahead and mark that up. After marking it up, next thing I want to do is to go ahead. I'll be connecting that part up, but measure up whatever you have here and you're going to mark it up here at the side as well. After doing so, just mark and then you go ahead and connect that part up like this. Then I'm going to connect it up with the straight line all the way to that point. You see what I have there, right? Make sure that you don't have any kind of sharp edges around the knee line. After doing so, we're going to go ahead and cut it up, and we'll be using the front piece to cut up the back piece, which is quite very easy. This time around, you're going to go ahead and fold your fabric again more than your front piece. For example, if your front piece was a kind of 10 inch, you have to fold your fabric at least 15 inch, okay, more than whatever you have. So what I'm going to do is I'm just placing up the front piece on my piece. Okay, you've seen the way I place it up, right? The straight part is facing me. The part that is straight at the center part is facing me, okay, facing my side where I'm actually pinning, facing my face. So I just went ahead and mark up the knee line, and then I'll mark the hip line, the waistline, and the knee line. After doing so, what I'm going to do on the waistline, I'm going to go ahead and mark 1.5 inch. On the hip line, I'll mark 2 inch. Then on the knee line, I'll mark 1 inch. So I'm going to connect those points up together like that. I'm also going to do the same thing here, and make sure you don't have any kind of sharp edge right there. So you can see the amount of fabric that I folded, right? Depending on how how long you want the tail to be, or how full you want the tail to be at the back. So what I have here is about more than 12 inch. So I went ahead and marked that. What I have there is 14 inch. So I went ahead and marked that 14 inch. Okay, that's including the sewing allowance. So I'm going to go ahead and connect from that knee line all the way to that part. Okay, just go ahead and connect them up together like that. You see what I've just done here. Then you're going to make sure that you blend up the knee line. It shouldn't be kind of looking funny there. Then the next thing you want to do is to measure up whatever I have on the knee line from the knee line like we did for the front, just go ahead and measure up that point. Then you're going to be connecting it all the way to the other side. Then after doing so, you go ahead now and cut that up, and we are going to be done. Are you also going to go ahead and cut up your lining the same? Okay, cut your lining the same. So I hope you find this tutorial helpful. If you do, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, like, comment, and share. The sewing tutorial is going to be coming up very soon. I hope to see you very soon.